This is a plot story of an anime named Seiken Tsukai, No World Break. It tells about a Kane Academy, place of students who have memories about their lives before. Then, they are trained to use their power as saviors to defeat the monsters. Those monsters called as metaphysical. Meanwhile, the main character is Moroha, the weakest student who still had no memory about his previous life. Even he still had no power, even though the other students had ever mocked him. But while he was fighting against them, he could use reincarnation power from the hero. Beside that, he also used the reincarnation from the Darkness Wizard. Because of those powers, his physical and magic power became overpowered. So he was bullied before, but then everyone praised him, even the girls fight each other to get him there. The story begins from the acceptance ceremony of a Kane Academy students. The headmaster named Mary Shimon welcomes them. Then Moroha falls asleep while the ceremony is just starting. Turns out he's dreaming about his memory of being a hero. He also saved a woman named Sarasha. Suddenly, a girl named Satsuki Ranju wakes him up. After Moroha mentioned about Sarasha, Satsuki makes sure that Moroha was her brother in the previous life. Since that, Satsuki always be close with Moroha. Then there's a student who's sleeping and suddenly falls after hearing Moroha's voice. After that, she thinks that Moroha was her husband in previous life. That's why she kisses Moroha. Turns out her name is Shizuno Urushibara, a windy black witch. Then three of them become classmates. Next, while in sport lesson, the teacher explains about Savior Soldier and teaches how to use prana to make the user's physical power stronger. Seeing that, all of the students try to do the same. But Moroha still can't use prana. Then, Satsuki debate about something against another student named Gen Ashiruji. Apparently, Gen has mastered prana. Even his power is so strong. Moments later, they fight each other. But unfortunately, Gen has defeated Satsuki easily and cut her cloth to embarrass her. Then, Moroha tries to cheer Satsuki up in order to not be sad again while eating together. But suddenly, Shizuno comes and gives her body to Moroha. Moroha seems liking it. Because of that, Satsuki becomes upset. Moroha challenges Gen to fight him after school. If he won, he asks him to ask Satsuki's apology. Unfortunately, Moroha is still so weak to fight Gen. Because of that, Gen bullies Moroha. Then, Satsuki comes to give him some courage. Because of that, Moroha's power of the hero's reincarnation rises up. In the end, Moroha could defeat Gen and passes out in Satsuki's hug. After that, while Moroha is passing out, he dreams about kissing Satsuki. But when he awakes, there's a girl who's kissing him. Her name is Maya Shimon, the headmaster's sister. Turns out, Maya is healing Moroha. Next, Mary explains that Moroha may has 2 lives before because he could make his physical stronger and use dark magic. After that, Satsuki gives something to Moroha based on her promise, but Shizuno suddenly kisses him. Of course, Satsuki becomes so furious. While they are on class, there's a student named Jin who's looking for Moroha and Shizuno. Jin is a striker army's captain. He explains to them that they got into C rank. Even they get a scholarship or salary and join to the striker army. This army will fight against the metaphysical directly. Moments later, they are introduced to all of the army's members. They only need to watch how the other members train since they are still new member. On the next day, Satsuki asks Shizuno to go shopping. She wants to look for a gift for Moroha. After walking around for some time, suddenly a metaphysical, a Hydra type, appears in the city. Seeing that, they work together to defeat it. Turns out there are many Hydra that appears there after they defeated it. Because of that, they get cornered. Even Shizuno's body becomes solid like a rock. On the other side, Jin knows about the Hydra. Jin and the army are not sure that they can win because there are so many Hydras, but Moroha goes to that place bravely. Then, Moroha can defeat all of those monsters. Then Moroha remembers about his previous life with Shizuno. Seconds later, he can use black magic's power. Finally, all of the monsters can be defeated. Even Shizuno and Satsuki are back from being stones. After that incident, Satsuki can join to the striker army. One day, they are in a cafe and talking about the previous battle when someone suddenly comes. Turns out he's Edward, the boss of the headquarters of England. After trying some drink in that cafe, suddenly Edward attacks Moroha a little. After that, he just goes out from there. Apparently, Edward is one of the strongest leaders in the world. He also wants to visit a Kane Academy. While in sport lesson, first and second class get the same lesson together. Then Kami, a student from second class, wants to fight Moroha. Even Edward also wants to watch them. After that, Moroha is taking a nap peacefully beside Shizuno when he suddenly dreams about his previous life with her. There, they did something like an unusual couple. After he woke up, he just realizes that he accidentally touched Shizuno. even though she wants to do like in his dream gladly. Then, Moroha comes to Shizuno's house because her brother invited him. There, he offers him to move up to S rank because Moroha could defeat a metaphysical alone. But Shizuno doesn't allow Moroha to move because he won't be free again like before. After that, Moroha and Shizuno enjoy the night view together. Then, Moroha goes home. But suddenly, someone approaches him so they fight each other. But Moroha can defeat him and he runs away directly. Turns out, the person who attacked Moroha before is Angela. She had Edward's servant who's so brutal. On the next day, Moroha finds out that he will be Maya's roommate. It might be arranged so Maya can take care of him closely. Besides, Maya also wants to be Moroha's wife in the future. In the other side, Shizuno is asked to study in England so she can work in executive field in the future. Her brother insists her, although she wants to reject it. As the result, her brother takes her to Edward, who wants to take her. It is because Shizuno is a rare black witch. Then, Moroha comes to Shizuno's house because she knows Shizuno will move to another country. Moroha wants to always be with Shizuno and save her from her brother's control. Because of that, a chain that tied Shizuno breaks. Then, they run away from there, but suddenly Angela attacks them while they're on the way with the others. Because of that, they almost fall from the cliff. Then, Angela and Edward approach them. Without too much talking, Moroha fights against Edward. Although Edward can fend his attacks off, but Moroha can make Edward cornered by using his real power. While the fighting is getting intense, Moroha remembers about his past with Shizuno. Turns out, Shizuno was his wife in his previous life. Then he can use Casitas, the forbidden magic, because of that memory. Just in seconds, all the mountains and Edward is frozen there. Then, they are in Mary's place to have some rest. But Edward is no longer frozen anymore and meets Moroha there. Then, he admits Moroha's power and cancels Shizuno's movement to England. Shizuno also feels so happy because Moroha remembers about their past. After 1 month, the Strikers Army wants to have some training in summer. Because of that, they go to the beach quickly. The headmaster uses the teleportation magic to move them there. There, all women show their beauty off to Moroha. But suddenly, Tokiko Kanzaki, the vice captain, hurts Moroha there because she's jealous. Meanwhile, Satsuki trained her prana by having a run competition. But unfortunately, she loses. In the evening, Satsuki asks Moroha to train her so she can be stronger while there are only 2 of them somewhere on the beach. Then, the Barbie party starts. Suddenly, Kanzaki approaches Moroha madly because she really wants to be with Moroha only. Fortunately, Captain Jin comes and stops her. The night is getting late when all of them see some beautiful fireworks. Meanwhile, Shizuno teases Moroha with her beauty. In the end, they embrace each other and see the fireworks together. Meanwhile, the 6 strongest leaders are having a meeting. In this meeting, they talk about Moroha, who will be moved up to S rank. But the Russian executive named Vasilisa and the French executive named Charles deny that promotion. But the Chinese and American executives just don't care about it. Then, the promotion gets cancelled because there's no physical evidence of Moroha's power. But suddenly, Japanese executive named Hayakawa Ando feels the existence of metaphysical. Turns out the monster appears on the beach where Moroha and his friends are. Knowing that, they prepare to fight it. Meanwhile, Vasilisa holds Ando in the meeting room to not fight the monster. It is caused by their curiosity to see Moroha's power to fight it, so they know by themselves that he deserves to move up to S rank. On the next day, the Strikers Army prepare themselves to fight the monster. They exert some attacks together. Because of that, they can break one of its legs. Although they can make the monster cornered, suddenly the monster screams a very strong sound and makes them unable to do anything. While his friends are overwhelmed, suddenly Moroha remembers about a dark forbidden magic. Then, the forbidden magic can be activated after he drew a magic circle on its body. After the monster got defeated, the executives are sure about Moroha's power. Then, they admit that Moroha deserves S rank. Meanwhile, Moroha are squeezed between her friends. Kanzaki also squeezes in gladly. Then, Vasilisa sends one of his people to defeat Moroha. While in school, Moroha gets a love letter from a Russian student. Because of that, Moroha meets her in some place. Turns out, she is Alina, Vasilisa's subordinate, but while they are talking to each other, Moroha rejects her after she told him about her feeling. It is because Moroha still doesn't know her enough yet. That's why, he just wants to be his friend. At class, Alina introduces herself to all of the students there. Shizuno asks her about her purpose of studying here. Because of that, Satsuki becomes so furious to Alina. Then, Alina asks Moroha to have a date on weekend after the school is done. Because of that, they go on a date on weekend. Then, Alina comes with a cat costume. They enjoy the date together without any disturbance, but while in a movie theater, Elena becomes more aggressive. Because of that, Moroha becomes interested to her. Meanwhile, Shizuno got an information from Angela that Elena is a killer and likes to kill men. Because of that, Shizuno challenges her to have a fight. Shizuno is more superior for a while, but Elena can turn the table because they use demon sword power. That power can absorb all attacks from Shizuno. Because of that, Elena can defeat Shizuno and ask her to not disturb her relationship with Moroha anymore. On the next day, Shizuno skips the school because she gets injured. Then, Moroha visits Shizuno in her house. There, Shizuno explains about Elena's real identity, that she's a Russian killer, but Moroha still believes that Elena is a good person that has been forced to do some things bad. Moroha just asks Shizuno to be more careful because she's a precious girl to Moroha. After that, Moroha and Satsuki meets Elena that got injured. Not only that, they also take care of her fully so she can recover soon. Then Moroha gets asked by Elena to have a date again. Because of that, one day they go to a park together. Because the park is so quiet, Elena opens her cloth and takes her demon sword out. Yes, she wants to kill him so they have a fight against each other. Because Elena can absorb prana, Moroha can't fight her easily in close distance. Fortunately, Moroha remembers about the sword technique from his previous life as a hero. Because of that, he can fight Elena without prana. Turns out, the reason behind Elena's want to fight Moroha is to live with her sister in Russia. Then, Shizuno comes and tells that Elena has no sister. Even a Russian agent says the same because it's just an artificial imagination. Knowing that, Elena has a mental breakdown and can be controlled by the Russian agent easily. Then, she fights against Moroha again. Moroha exerts his prana in this amount on purpose. Then, Elena can be defeated. After that, Moroha says that he will be Elena's family willingly so she can have a life's purpose again, but Elena just wants to come back to Russia. Knowing that, Moroha stops her by making her fall asleep. Then, Moroha calls Edward because he wants to meet the Russian. Some days later, Moroha meets a Russian agent named Bernard and fight him. After he wakes up, Bernard tells to the Russian executive that he got defeated by Moroha. Hearing that, Vasilisa gets mad. Then Vasilisa gathers an army to fight Moroha. Meanwhile, Moroha and Angela start to destroy small offices of the Russian. Even the Russian offices are destroyed by Moroha alone one by one. While Moroha is nearby a railway station, there's an army who blocks Moroha's way. Knowing that, Moroha welcomes them politely. The leader wants to fight Moroha alone. Turns out, he brings some friends to fight against him too. Finally, Moroha can defeat all of them, although they beat Moroha together before. Suddenly, Vasilisa exerts a thunder power while Moroha wants to help Angela. Apparently, the power is so strong. Because of that, Moroha gets attacked directly. On the next day, Moroha wakes up while being hugged by Angela. Apparently, Moroha passed out before with burn injury because of Vasilisa's power. Because of that, Angela hugged him directly so he can be healed soon. After Moroha got healed, they meet Vasilisa's subordinate. She asked them to save her friend from Vasilisa because Vasilisa always dumps her subordinates if they are not worth any more. Knowing Vasilisa's cunning character, Moroha comes to meet her in Thunder Emperor Palace. Because of that, Vasilisa spells her magic to make an army that's made by thunder. Even though Moroha can defend himself from that army, but the Russian saviors comes to fight him there. It makes him cornered, but Angela comes to save him. Even, Moroha's friends also come because of teleportation magic. Not only that, Elena can recognize that apparently, Russian saviors are controlled. After the saviors became free, all of them unite to make a path, so Moroha can come to Vasilisa. After the Thunder's army can be defeated, Vasilisa uses a forbidden magic with high level. Because of that, an overpowered Thunder Giant is created. Even all of their united attacks can't defeat it. Moroha is forced to use a forbidden magic too because they are cornered and can do nothing. After defeating the monster, Moroha comes to Vasilisa, but Moroha can fend it off easily. Vasilisa is surprised and terrified. Even he wants to be Moroha's servant willingly to not be killed. Turns out, Moroha is still being kind. He asks her to promise to not take others' right. If she disavows it, Moroha will come to take her life away. After having a deadly battle, Moroha and his friends enjoy a vacation for a while. While having a vacation, Moroha can recharge their energy until being full because he can enjoy it with his friends peacefully. Meanwhile, Edward and Ando sees a news about a destruction because of the previous battle. Then suddenly, Ando feels an existence of very strong metaphysical. Then, Moroha and the others will go home to Japan. But unfortunately, Moroha has to cancel his plan because he must fight a metaphysical first in Russia. Meanwhile, Satsuki and the others hold a house party together. Sadly, the peace didn't last for long because there's a monster dragon that appears. People said that this dragon is so overpowered, although the striker's bazooka tries to fight it, but they can do nothing against it due to the dragon's power. Apparently, the dragon can absorb magic. Even the body is so hard. Meanwhile, while Moroha is seeing the dragon, he remembers about his past. Turns out, the dragon has killed Satsuki and Shizuno in the previous lives. Because of that, Moroha wants to kill it to protect the women he loves. Then all of them try to defend themselves from that dragon's attack. But the headmaster gets injured while she's going to use her teleportation magic. Fortunately, Edward is there to help her, so Maya can create the teleportation gate to make Moroha back to them. Moroha looks more badass due to his enormous hatred to the dragon. So, Moroha fights the dragon alone, but his attacks does nothing to the dragon. Even it attacks Satsuki and Shizuno back, so they become stone in front of Moroha. Seeing that incident, Moroha becomes so angry and exerts many attacks to the dragon. Meanwhile, Satsuki and Shizuno meet themselves but from the previous lives. Because of that, they can be free from being stone. Not only that, they also can stop Moroha's emotion. After that, Moroha can create a new power. The power is the union of the hero and the dark wizard of the Underworld King's powers. Meanwhile, the Striker's army opens a path so Moroha can pass and exert the most powerful attack. Because of the attack, the dragon got killed and becomes ashes. On the next day, they let Edward and Angela go, but before going, Edward warns Moroha to be careful with French's executive. After that, Moroha enjoys the days with his friends. Even, he has a party with the Striker's army and the others. Then, this anime comes to end. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to like, comments, and subscribe. See you in the next video.